outside. Everybody has been so generous and nice to be here. I'm very, very pleased to be here at Wisconsin Lacrosse. Brian, thank you for the introduction. Just like I told you to say it. Very good. Thank you. And I come to you today from Ohio University, and it's interesting to hear Dr. Gibson talk about your program starting in 1986, when some of you may not know, and if you do, it's a good refresher, but we are very proud at Ohio University that we started in 1966 as the first accredited sports management program in the world, and we're certainly very proud of that. And I really enjoy getting out to see other sports management programs and seeing the success of the academic side of sport management, professional development of future sports management professionals. So it's really great to be here. To be here on your beautiful campus, and actually in a place we were talking about earlier that's probably warmer than Atlanta, Georgia today. You can say that here at Wisconsin. And as we were joking a little bit earlier, the only reason you're here is because Duke in North Carolina has been canceled tonight, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Well, I'm going to talk to you about several things. And I'm going to start out with a little bit of a video here in a second. But I do want to tell you that I come to you today as a college sports fan, someone who really does love college sports and who wants to believe in the ideal, the student part of the equation, that the education really does matter in college sports. And I've worked in college sports for a long, long time, and I saw many things, good and bad, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And I've been researching college sports for a number of years, and I do think that there are problems, but I want you to know that I'm coming to you as a person who wants to propose solutions. I am not anti-athletics by any means. I'm very pro-athlete. I do believe that the athletes need many more rights than they have right now. We'll get into that a little bit. There are lots of coaches and administrators that I think truly believe in the ideal that college athletics and what it's supposed to be at the Division I, II, and III level. And being here at Wisconsin Lacrosse, I do want to preface by saying, for the most part today, I'm going to be talking about the Division I, Wisconsin-Madison type level. Okay? So I'm sure most of you are probably Badger fans here, right? Like, is that Bucky Badger? What do you do? I think you don't have a hand signal or anything? That's the NC State Wolfpack, right? You do that, the W? Okay, we used to do that at Weber State. Did you steal that from us? Well, I thought I'd open up with just a few minutes of a movie that I know some of you are going to watch in its entirety soon. There is a documentary out called Schooled, The Price of College Sports, which I think anybody who wants to work in college sports, who has an interest as a fan in college sports, should watch. Some of you might be aware of, about a year ago, a historian by the name of Taylor Branch wrote an article called The Shame of College Sports in the Atlantic magazine. And what was interesting about that is Taylor Branch came to research and look at college athletics from a completely unknowing perspective. He's a historian. He's been to a couple games. He did attend the University of North Carolina. He has an idea of what college sports are supposed to be, but he's never really looked at it. So he came in as a totally unbiased observer, and that's why his piece was so powerful. And Schooled, the documentary, is actually a compilation, essentially, docudrama, if you will, of the article that he did in the Atlantic. And we're not going to watch it today, but if you watch, I believe at about 30 or so minutes in, you might see somebody you recognize in the movie. So just, that's me, by the way. I know you're thinking of someone else. But okay, so let's go ahead and just watch a little bit of this and kind of get us pepped up for the talk.
Good morning, Tallahassee. Forecast today, 90 degrees and sunny, perfect game day weather. Only 6 Saturdays a year matter here, and this might be the most important one yet. With the national spotlight on us, it's time for Florida State to show the rest of the country what college football is supposed to look like.
College football ties to Florida's in our blood, definitely in our economy. register to bring it.
But you're looking at probably $55, $60.
Players in college play and they show their heart. It's about how you love the game, how you're going to benefit your school. It's not about money, it's just the love of the game. It makes it amazing.
We're here for a reason. Everybody can't do what we do. This is for us. Everybody else at home, what we do? We out there grind. Think about that stuff, man.
So I wanted to start that out just to get us a little bit hyped up in a sense that when you look at the beginning of that movie, I don't see how you can't feel good or excited, whether it's Wisconsin getting ready to play Minnesota. That's the big game, right? Was that the beer barrel bucket or whatever? I can't remember. What is it? The Axe. I can't keep track of all these games. You know, heck, now when Ohio University plays a football game, now it's for some type of trophy, you know, against Western Michigan or something. So, but that is exciting. I think when you look at that, you look at the campus experience of what goes on at a place like Florida State or any university, it is really a uniquely American phenomenon. But let me tell you a little story. And at some of my talks, I use this beginning quite a bit. There's a guy by the name of Joe Wyatt. He was the president at Vanderbilt University back in the late 90s. And he often battled the dichotomy of a higher education institution having highly commercialized intercollegiate athletics. And he often discussed that dichotomy by using another product. And he told this story. He said, many years ago, a now unknown congressman sent the following response to a constituent who asked him, and this was in the age of Prohibition. The constituent asked the congressman, where do you stand on whiskey? The congressman thought about it and responded back to the constituent, not via email or text message, he had to actually talk to him, right? He said, you know, sir, if you mean the devil's brew, the poison scourge, the bloody monster that defies innocence, dethrones reason, and topples men and women from the pinnacles of righteous and gracious living into the bottomless pit of degradation and despair, then I certainly am against it with all my power. But if you mean the drink that enables a man to magnify his joy, to magnify his happiness, and to forget life's heartbreaks and sorrows, if you mean the drink that pours into our treasuries untold millions of dollars, which are used to care for our little crippled children, our aged, our infirm, and to also build highways and schools, then I'm certainly in favor of it. And President Wyatt said, so as it is with intercollegiate athletics, certainly at the Division I level, you are battling two extremes. How can we have highly commercialized intercollegiate athletics on a campus of higher learning while keeping the academic primacy and the integrity of the institution intact? That's what we're battling right now. That's what my research area is, and that's what a lot of my activism has been involved in. Again, I love college sports, right? College students playing college sports. And we're getting so far away from that. We're even seeing some issues at the Division II and Division III level. So let me just tell you a little bit more, although Brian did a great job of telling a little bit about me. But I'm going to take you through these steps that you see on the agenda. The historical perspective, I know many of you have taken classes and understand a lot of this, so some of it will be a review. But I'm also going to talk about why we do what we do, but also the need for change. What we're doing right now in college athletics, in spite of the money that's generated, in spite of what you saw there on the screen with Florida State, is a model that is doomed to fail, and fail in a big way, where it will damage higher education, I believe, irreparably. When you do get a chance to watch this documentary in its entirety, I think you'll see many, many cases of where institutional integrity has been damaged in many ways, almost beyond repair. We'll talk about ideas for reform from different groups, and the future of college athletics. And then once Dr. Gordon cuts me off, we'll have some time for questions, I hope. And I didn't ask, do I have a clicker? I didn't even ask if I did. If not, I'm not sure if this works, but at any rate, I'll keep coming back, but I like to move around. So we know who I am. I've said that. We've talked about my intercollegiate athletic experience and my involvement in reform and intercollegiate athletics. I will tell you that if you saw that Florida State fan up there talking about how much you loved Florida State and how much you loved college athletics, I was that person. I will tell you that I was probably one of the most naive and jaded fanatics about college sports than anyone I know. I tell people quite often, and in some ways this is a bit cynical, but I say this to you as people who might be working in college sports one day. And I want good people, good young students to pick out college sports as a career because we need people who want to affect change. But I tell people this, if you really love college sports and you consider yourself a fanatic or a very, very serious fan, remain a fan and go do something else. I compare it to your favorite restaurant. What's the saying about our favorite restaurant? If you like to eat at a favorite restaurant, never take a look in the kitchen, right? Because you might see something you don't like and you may not want to eat there again. That was always kind of the mantra I lived by. Well, I looked into the kitchen of college athletics. And I saw a lot of things I didn't like. But it wasn't something that made me say, well, it's just the way it goes, I just have to deal with it. I said, I want to do something to change this. And that's really what's brought me to where I am now. All right, we're going to talk about the good and the bad and the ugly of intercollegiate athletics. And all three are very prevalent. So let's first start with the good. Okay, what are some of the good things? I do believe that intercollegiate athletics is an integral part of higher education in America. We really are the only country in the world that do this very crazy system. My wife is not an American citizen. She's from Germany. My relatives in Germany just think we're absolutely crazy doing something like intercollegiate athletics when they come to visit America and they see an Ohio State-Michigan game. Or they see, even Ohio University against Kent State. It's something that kind of boggles their mind, and the things that we do on